Green Lantern. Okay, so let's just give you some context, and then my boy Jerry is gonna go in, and then I'll give some sense in there. So we have news that Kyle Chandler is reportedly in talks to star as Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern series. Also, another part of this thing is this offer reportedly does not have a movie component in this deal. So if you don't know who Kyle Chandler is, excuse me, he has been in some shows before. A really popular show he was in was called Bloodline. Only know that because my mom binged that show.
Well, my
So,
parents like
yeah,
that show.
yeah. So that's the only reason why I know he was in that. Yeah. So that's where he's really popular from. But he is in his mid to late 50s. So Jerry, how do you feel about this Kyle guy? We'd love to get your
Before,
2 cents on the whole
so he's
Green
also
Lantern.
been in 2 movies that I love, and
Let me hear it.
feel like I have personal connections to both, which I shouldn't have said because I'm not going to get into how or why, but whatever. Anyway, he was in The Wolf of Wall Street. He was like
He was
the
in
Fed.
Wolf. Forgot about that. He was.
Bro,
the
he
Wolf.
was the Fed that Leo threw the hundreds and was like,
Yeah,
"Fun
dude, I forgot about
coupons."
that.
Yeah,
that was
and
him.
he was in Zero Dark 30, which
Really?
incredible, one of the greatest movies of all time. You know, if you don't know Zero Dark 30, that is the movie based on the mission where the American Navy SEALs raided Bin Laden's compound and took him out.
That was a big movie, man.
Bad A. I gotta say, listen, I am going in with this like an open mind. I am expecting Kyle Chandler to earn my respect in this role because Hal Jordan is one of my favorite characters of all time. But I had a feeling that they weren't going to go with someone who was like an A-list, like a McConaughey, and it was going to be someone from, as Slav said, out of left field. And I just didn't expect it to be someone who was like the Fed dweeb. And listen, maybe this guy did an audition or a screen test and absolutely blew it out of the water. And James Gunn and co. were like, oh my God, he's perfect for it. And that's what I'm really hoping for. I have faith in James Gunn, but I still don't like this casting. But because I have faith in James Gunn and I love Hal Jordan, I am expecting this guy to earn my respect. Now, there's another big detail here in this revelation. And this is the fact, and if you've been watching the show, you've heard us say it for a while, but this is another revelation that further confirms something you've already heard us say. And that is that Hal Jordan is not going to be the main Green Lantern. And the component to the deal that further confirms this is the fact that there's no movie component to this deal, because eventually there's going to be a shared universe Justice League type movie or something. And to attract actors, you have to imagine these deals are not single movie deals, kind of like how they work with Marvel. You know, Tom Holland signs like a 3 or 4 movie deal at a time. They're not going to tell us all the details of that, but they did confirm that there is no movie component to the deal. So that means, listen, I love Hal Jordan, but I also love Jon Stewart. And I think the focus now is on Jon Stewart. I'd be more okay with it if they get an amazing casting for Jon Stewart, because Jon Stewart's the one who's going to be around with us for a longer time anyway. Jon Stewart is going to be the main Green Lantern of the DCU. They need to absolutely cook with that casting.
Yeah, so I did some stalking because I was like, I got to figure out who this guy is. So I watched one episode of Bloodline on my phone. And then I also watched some interviews just to see if there were any mannerisms that gave me Hal Jordan. You know what I mean? And I will say, I think he looks enough like Hal. I think he has a old school style and charisma. And you can even see that in like the way that he talks. Like Kyle Chandler is really like he's like an old school Hollywood classic man. You know what I mean? And I think that he can fill the shoes needed. I think he can fill the shoes needed for Hal Jordan in this Green Lantern film. Now, and I agree with everything that you've said, bro. I mean, it is obvious that John Stewart is obviously going to be the main Green Lantern, and this was obviously, really talked about when James Gunn was saying that he was going to copy, or that he was using the Justice League, TV show from back in the day as his inspiration, and that show had John Stewart as, as the main GL. So, I am really expecting a really big casting for John Stewart if they're going with this guy. And like, I'm not trying to downplay Kyle Chandler, but from a business standpoint, also from a casting standpoint, usually when you go for a guy small like that, you're like, you're saving those dollars, and you're saving this press for a really big casting. So I am very interested to see who is in talks.
I would be okay with Damson Idris, but I think he would make a better T'Challa.
Yeah. Well, there was, bro. So there's another guy that
By the
David
way,
and I are talking about.
Another issue I'm going to point out with fan castings, I think the more fan casted an actor, like the more popular of a fan casting, I'm starting to believe actually hurts the casting decision. Like if everyone keeps saying, "Oh, Chris Pine is the perfect Hal Jordan," and the whole internet saying it, Chris Pine is not going to be Hal Jordan. I'm starting to think that's like one of the laws of the universe. E equals
Yeah.
MC.
Maybe, bro, and maybe it might be like this dude might have, like, a conversation might have arose, and then the Hollywood trades just jump over it, and it kind of kills the vibe.
Yeah.
But
Because I just they don't like doing things that are expected. They want it to be surprising. They want to show off, especially the casting director. If you're being paid to pick an actor and you pick someone who everyone on Twitter is telling you to pick, like, are you really doing a good job? So I don't know.